Extreme Monsters Book 4, Battling Bigfoot, Chapter 3, On Your Mark. 2 weeks later, Doc, the Extreme Monsters coach and all-around technical wizard, picked up the team at Val's house in his laboratory utility vehicle. Doc's LUV was part transport, part electronics repair shop, part Winnebago. Steiner, who lived with Doc, and Mumford, who lived nearby, were already in their seats. Wolf dashed up the street from his place as Val trotted out the front door with his new mountain board. Jinx appeared from next door. She watched as the others stowed their gear in the special racks at the rear of the LUV. When Doc had learned about Val's allergy to the new and improved beet juice, he had whipped up a terrible-tasting formula that supplied the vitamins and minerals Val needed to stay healthy. Doc's blue eyes sparkled behind his round glasses. He turned his attention to the relay race. He quickly constructed a mountain board so that Val would have ample time to practice. He adjusted the wheels on Wolf's inline skates for maximum traction. Mumford would be free climbing up a cliff face, so Doc recalibrated the young mummy's training wall to allow him to practice on a surface similar to the mountain face. Then he retooled Steiner's mountain bike. Doc did a double take when he found out what Jinx would be doing. A dry creek kayak? He snorted, his rumpled hair sticking out like a wiry gray halo.
I don't know what to tell you, Jinx. I guess we'll just have to wait and see what kind of equipment Damon provides.
Jinx sighed. She was a careful person. She liked to think things through and prepare. But just now she had no idea what she was up against. Jinx was worried, and her subjects of concern included Val, who looked pale and drawn, though he pretended to feel fine. Jinx sighed again as she sat down next to him. The LUV left Monstery with Steiner, Mumford, Wolf, and Jinx, eating donuts and drinking chocolate milk. They wondered what they would find when they reached Sugar Mountain. Val sipped a cup of Doc's foul-tasting tonic. He groaned. It didn't come close to the old sweet beet, but at least it didn't give him hives. As the team approached the mountains, the landscape began to change. Rolling hills covered with flowering fruit trees gave way to steeper slopes densely forested with oak. Val stared moodily out the LUV window. He had looked up sweet beet on the internet and learned that the special juice beets grew on mountain terraces in irrigated beds. But as the LUV climbed the mountain road, the terraced fields they passed looked parched and dry. The oaks and junipers in the windbreaks seemed twisted and gray. When they passed a creek bed, the ground was hard and cracked. There wasn't a trickle of water in sight.
It looks like there's a drought,
said Jinx from the seat beside him.
Could that be why they changed the sweet beet's formula? Because the beet crop shriveled up and died?
Val slumped in his seat. Doc pulled the LUV into its designated parking spot. The team climbed out the back door and looked around. Val saw at a glance that the parking area was a terraced field where juice beets had once grown. The dried up leaves of the dead plants poked forlornly from ruts in the dirt.
I see now why Damon called this race up, down, and dirty,
said Wolf, staring at the wasted trees in the distance.
He should have added dry and dusty,
grimaced Jinx, as another team vehicle pulled into the parking lot, dust billowing in its wake. Val squinted up toward Sugar Mountain. He thought he could see some of the tracks and washed-out paved roads that made up the race trail.
I'm team captain,
he told himself.
I've got to quit moping and get it together.
He pulled out the map he downloaded from the Up, Down, and Dirty website and studied it carefully.
We need to follow that trail,
Val said evenly, pointing toward a well-tramped path leading up the mountainside.
Let's offboard our gear and check in.
At the main registration area, Damon Christopher stood on a platform with a Pendant Sports logo prominently displayed on the yellow banner behind him. In this mountain of dust, he was still dressed impeccably. To his right and left, Team Pendant stood at attention, hands behind their backs, in their signature mustard yellow clothing.
Puke yellow,
Wolf muttered to Val.
What idiot thought that was a good idea?
Jinx rolled her eyes and Val grinned. Neither reminded Wolf the time that, under the spell of magic, he'd been proud to wear puke yellow as Team Pendant's champion. The press crowded around Damon, hanging on his every word. Damon raised his hands to quiet the crowd. He smiled his trademark slippery smile.
First, I'd like to announce that Pendant Enterprises has purchased the Sweet Beet Sports Drink Factory. Sweet Beet will soon become Pendant's sparkling beet-flavored beverage, the official hydrating energy drink of Team Pendant.
What? Val gasped. He watched in horror as the 5 members of Team Pendant pulled bottles of the beverage in question from behind their backs and dutifully gulped it down while the photographer snapped pictures.
At least we know now know what happened,
Val sputtered angrily.
Who needs real beets when you can hydrate with corn syrup and artificial flavor?
His throat felt like he'd swallowed a handful of pebbles.
So much for going to the factory and talking the directors out of it,
Jinx groaned. Mumford frowned.
But maybe this time it isn't Damon's fault. You saw the fields. If there's a drought and the juice beets died. Damon doesn't care about beets, Mum Man,
said Steiner.
He just wants to trick people into thinking the stuff is good so he can make a huge profit. And he's using this race to promote his fake beet drink, Ruff muttered. It stinks. In addition to buying the factory, Pendant Enterprises has also purchased Sugar Mountain and the surrounding fields.
Damon continued.
As soon as this race is over, we will convert Sugar Mountain into the world's foremost dirt sports recreation park.
The owner of Team Pendant pulled a sheet from a glass case, revealing a model of the new facility. The extreme monsters studied the model and compared it to the barren landscape around them. Val stared at the model in dismay. Damon planned to cut down the windbreaks that lined the Beet terraces and pave over large swatches of land to make parking lots, trails for cross-country sports, racetracks, and half-pipes lay where juice beets had once grown. Interestingly, a river tumbled down the mountainside, creating rapids for whitewater kayaking.
I guess he figures the drought won't last.
Val thought glumly. Not that it would matter. The fields where the beets grew would be destroyed anyway. Once Damon's speech was finished, T. Rexford Snatchley, the rotund and cheerful president and chief extreme officer of the Extreme Sports League, took the platform. He announced that 15 teams would be competing for the prize money.
Each team will have a flag like this one,
said T-Rex.
As one team member completes a leg of the race, he or she will pass the flag to the next member. Teams must follow the designated routes. The first team to get its flag across the finish line will win the prize. As always, no monster powers can be used, added the little man. Monsters must compete wearing power neutralizer wristbands.
The extreme monsters were used to this. The wristbands blocked their inborn powers, allowing them to compete fairly with the humans. Val checked out the other teams. Some were human only, but most, like Team Pendant, were mixed. None except his was made up entirely of monsters. Each team was issued a colored flag. The Extreme Monsters flag was bright crimson. The free climbers would hold the flag for the first leg of the race. The other contestants climbed into all-terrain vehicles that would carry the team members and their gear to the starting point for each leg of the race. Val watched Clem and Cletus slime carefully. Nicknamed the Slime Brothers, the twins had the ability to ooze multi-purpose slime from their palms. They looked entirely too smug as they climbed into their separate vehicles. Cletus, who raced BMX, clambered onto the transport next to Steiner. Cletus shouldn't be a problem for Steiner, Val thought. Steiner's big and tough. He can take care of himself. Clem's line was racing in the mountain board segment. He plopped down on the ATV beside Val and grinned nastily.
Forget about winning that prize money,
he growled.
You extreme monsters will be lucky just to survive.